Starting now.
All right, guys, so what I'm about to show you here is our test drive route. We specifically want to make sure you're showing certain points of the test drive to people. So we're going to show you where those different things are, how to do it, where to transfer and switch drivers. I will show you a few different things along the way where you can edit the test drive experience. For example, during rush hour, you may want to switch one road. We'll make a right first on the Highway 9. And normally what you're showing right now is how easy the car is able to stay in the lane, stay balanced, and accelerate up to moving speeds. So that's what you're typically showing on this particular part of the ride now. This is a great time to talk about what they're about to experience. And if you have time, for example, passing cars here, talk about things like blind spot monitoring, showing that to them so they can see it right now. The goal of the first part of the test drive, since you're driving that part, is to prepare the vehicle for the test drive and prepare the customer for what they're going to experience. When I say vehicle, what I mean is these have adaptive transmissions. You would like it to drive in a specific way when your customer takes over. So this is where you may want to do a little more acceleration to show them how it handles that. This may be where you steer a little differently than you normally would. Also, you want to do things that the customer may not generally do on their own. This is a car they do not own. The person they barely know. Few of them will drive how they may normally drive. So demonstrate some of the things that they may like to do when you're not in the car that they will not do while you're in the car. So first, we're going to go past Hembry. In rush hour times, I would have made a right on Hembry, but that is one of the rougher roads, something we don't necessarily want to demonstrate because we don't know what they've driven before and where they drove it at. But that is where I would go during rush hour, just because we're going to make an unprotected left, and that would prevent you from having to make that unprotected left. Where we're going to make a right turn at is Upper Hembry Road. Upper Hembry Road is great because it is a smoother road, so you can show them the more refined ride of the CX-5. It also has a lot of curves and a parking lot that's great to switch drivers in. So we're going to make a right up here at Upper Hembry. Landmark is the gas station that we use already when we sell a car. That's where we go to put gas in it. So that's your landmark. Make a right here on Upper Hembry. And this road here has a lot of curves starting from the entrance to the road. It is 30 miles per hour, so do be aware of your speed while driving on it. But even at 30 miles per hour, you're going to be able to demonstrate the nimbleness of the Mazda. Being able to stay in its lane on a sharper turn. Purses, maybe we'll hold on to our purses. Again, staying in our lane, hugging the road. You can talk about things like G-vectoring, talk about the balance and structure of your Mazda, the sport tuned suspension system. These are great places to demonstrate those type of things there. The parking lot we just passed is where you generally would want to switch at. And this is that unprotected left. It's really the only negative of this test drive route, other than total time spent. Regular time, this is an easy left turn to make. Visibility is good, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. Rush hour, it could be a tad more challenging. Again, you're showing them how you can merge in the traffic, how easy it is to accelerate. This is where they're experiencing that themselves. On your test drive, you can prepare yourself for the highway ride, which is a great place to demonstrate the adaptive cruise control, but talk about the systems itself. This is a great time to talk about smart city braking, smart braking, distance recognition, because those systems work tandem with the adaptive cruise control. Explaining them now makes it much easier when the customer is going to demonstrate it themselves on the highway. So talking about how the cameras and the radar sensors are watching traffic flow, which ones work at low speeds, which ones work at high speeds, and how they overlap. Talk about lane departure warning system. Right now we're in a little bit of traffic. Again, still a little bit of a rough road here on Hembry Road, but this is where you can demonstrate lane departure warning system if you are able to get up over 40 miles per hour. Making sure you have to describe that to them, because if you're driving on a speed limit that's 35 and we're driving at 20 right now because of traffic flow, and they're trying to demonstrate lane departure warning system, they're thinking it doesn't work. You have to make sure you've told them at what speeds it does work and how it works. Explain the aggressive settings changes for that. Some people do not like features like that because they're overly aggressive. Some people want one that's overly aggressive. You don't want to run into either of the negatives. You don't want somebody to not buy your car because they think you have a feature that is overly aggressive. You also do not want them to think your feature isn't working as intended because they expect it to be. So make sure you tell them that ours is subtle. It's meant to grab your attention, to notify you what's happening by slightly nudging you back into your lane, not overly throwing you one way or the other. Now we make a left here on Westside Parkway. On your map, it's listed as Morrison because it changes names a couple times during this test drive. But this is Westside Parkway. We're gonna make a left here. This is a great time to talk about blind spot monitoring and how ours differ from a lot of our competitors. So you can mention here in a 2 left turn lane how if we were making this left turn and a vehicle switches from behind me into my left lane, my car is actually going to notify us of that. It works at 6 miles per hour higher. These other vehicles that are behind us and to the left of us start anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour. They work at moving speeds, hence Highway 9 or the highway itself. They don't work at low speeds, which is good for stop and go driving in traffic. It's great for double lane turns or merging. It's also great for parking lots. So explaining how ours differ is a great benefit. This is also a place where you can use the pedestal mirrors. As we're going around this curve, you're going to be able to see things that other cars cannot because our mirrors are mounted to the door, not the pillar. So you can show them that I can see in this area that's normally blocked. You can explain that also helps with wind noise because the wind will now go between the mirror and the pillar versus hitting the mirror and the pillar and echoing inside the vehicle. Again, you hear blind spot monitoring go off even at this low speed, catching that vehicle that's now trying to pass us. Now, this is another place where you can differ. More basic test drives are just going to go straight, make a right on Haynesbridge. That's taking you right where you want to go. But we demonstrated the curvy road for the customer. We would like them to demonstrate a little bit themselves. So I will detour from that part of the test drive, making a right at this light coming up, and that will give them low speed curves as well. So we're making a right, and this is Lakeview Parkway. Another office road where a lot of office complexes are, but you making a sharp right curve onto a hill for hump. A lot of vehicles pull you into left lane. You may have seen the truck in front of us was pulled over into left lane making that same curve. We were able to stay in our lane easily, smoothly, without being fatigued by the steering system or the weight of the vehicle. This is a great time to tell them to switch lanes. Normally when you go to driving schools, they say don't switch lanes and curves. A lot of times that's because your vehicle weight is pulling against you and it's easy to lose control in that type of scenario. Our vehicle is designed to be a little sportier, so it handles things like that very simply. Now we're going to make a right onto Haynesbridge Road, and we'll make a right onto 400. This is one of my favorite 400 entrances, which is great that it fits perfect into our test drive. You're going to have 3 sharp curves as you're trying to merge on the highway speed. If you're lucky enough to be at the point where there's no cars in front of you, you can demonstrate that really well. A lot of times you may find, again, at traffic times, you will be behind other vehicles. At that point, talk about what the other vehicles are doing that you're not doing. You'll notice their brake lights are on. You'll see this vehicle in front of me, Honda Pilot, has its brake lights on. It's having to hit its brakes because of the weight of the vehicle going into these curves. My vehicle handles these curves very well. The balance is distributed better. It has a sport tuned suspension system on it. We're able to accelerate into, during, and out of the curve. So yeah, we're already at merging speeds, which means it's much easier to get on the highway versus other vehicles that will have to now gun it or accelerate really hard. So again, you're going to see this Pilot is going to stay in front of us. I'll slow down a little bit to try to give us some space, making it easier to describe what they're seeing in front of us, but also feel what we want to show them. Now we're going to go one exit on the highway. Go ahead and turn on your adaptive cruise control so we can demonstrate that. So I'm going to let the Honda get a little bit of a head start, as well as this, oh great, Toyota Camry driver. We know they are not going to accelerate very quickly, so we're going to try to give a little bit of space. All right, so yes, older couple in a Camry, you will notice they are definitely hitting their brakes, but we do not need to. I can accelerate into, during, and out of the curve, stay very balanced, and as this vehicle will be slow at the on-ramp, as you're seeing here, I would not have been. I would have been able to stay at that speed and merge very seamlessly and smoothly on the highway. That's not going to happen in this case. But this is a great time for adaptive cruise control. I can now set the speed the way you normally would, and I do not have my foot on the brake or the accelerator. I get the plus sign to raise the speed, and it will merge for me as long as Mini Cooper allows me to do so. Changing the setting will help. And now it is going to go. I've got the speed set at 66 miles per hour. The speed limit is 65, but the vehicle in front of me is going slower than that. So I am driving 51 miles per hour. If they slow down, as they have now, I'm at 50. My car will slow down. If they speed up as they're doing now, I'm at 53 miles per hour. It will go all the way up to 66 based off the traffic flow in front of me. I can change that setting, which right now I'm at the most aggressive setting, keeping my gap distance in front of between me and the car in front of me at the lowest amount. If I want to be a little bit further behind them, I can raise the sensitivity, which would move me further behind. I normally recommend staying at the second or third setting, which will keep you at a decent distance to the car in front of you for safety purposes, but also not so far behind that everybody keeps jumping in front of you. Another great time to demonstrate blind spot monitoring if you haven't had a chance already. We're exiting here at exit 8, which is Mansell Road. If your customer says they need a little bit longer highway drive, you can exit at exit 7, Holcomb Ridge Road, and ride that all the way back down, making it right on the Highway 90 heading back to the dealership. This will be a much easier and quicker ride, not just because of distance, but also traffic flow. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take over driving now. Hit the brake, take back control. So now I am controlling the acceleration and the braking of the vehicle. We're going to make a right on Mansell Road. And again, depending on traffic patterns, this is the time when you may run into a little more traffic. So we're going to detour off of Mansell Road if traffic is moving very fast and quick. You can ride Mansell all the way down to Highway 9, but with the new roads they've built recently, our test drive route will be a little different. If we can ever get on to Mansell Road. But this is a great time to talk about merging into traffic, exiting a ramp. It's also a great time to talk about your Bose stereo system, explaining the speakers that are mounted into the pillars. These are neodyne speakers, which allow you to have an actual full range speaker in the pillar versus just a tweeter, so your sound quality is a lot better. And being mounted and angled towards the occupants in the cabin is much better than angled towards the windshield, as you'll see in most vehicles. If you have more than one driver, if this first one has driven already, this parking lot here at Davis Drive is a great place to switch for the second driver, allowing them to drive you the remaining way back to the dealership. Now, obviously, again, we could talk about a lot of different things at this point in time. We were talking about the Bose stereo system for a second there. So with the Bose, you have Centerpoint surround sound, which has an actual Centerpoint speaker. Explain what Centerpoint is different than regular surround sound. Obviously, like most houses, surround sound would be directly in the front of the occupants. You're sitting right in front of the speaker itself. In a car, that's not the most comfortable of locations. So Centerpoint is for offset seating locations. Even the person in the second and third rows of the vehicle will get a surround sound experience. Every occupant gets a similar experience to the stereo. Audio Pilot, however, is one of my favorite features. It's one of the things that really separates us from other vehicles in the market. That being that Audio Pilot will listen to sounds, and rather than changing the volume based off the speed we're driving, it will change every speaker different in both frequency and volume based off the sounds that are in the cabin. So you're driving, it's a windy day. You're driving and it's raining. You're on a rougher road with more road debris and road noise. It's going to hear those things and change your speakers to compensate. Wind from the left side, left speaker will change different than right speaker. Rain from the top of the vehicle, top speakers will change different than bottom speakers. All of it making so that everybody can hear the music and not lose quality, but also so that you can hear each other talk. So if I'm talking incessantly, as I'm doing right now, you'll be able to hear the music as well as the conversation. Neither of them overpowering the other, right? The outside ambient noise is not overpowering either of those two things. Right now, you may not notice, but the music is on. We were able to hear it and hear me talking. I will turn it down though. Unless you like banjos, play banjos. So you are driving by other dealerships here. A lot of times when you pass Volkswagen, as you'll see here, note the long line outside of the service center. Their cars are wrapping around the building coming out of their service drive. That is something you don't see if you're going to a Mazda dealership. At least I've never seen one. Reliability is something that's definitely a strong point of ours. We are passing Westside Parkway. You can go back down Westside Parkway to get back to where we had started the test drive at Hembury Road, but our test drive route will keep on going down Mansell and take a back road to the dealership. But yeah, talking about those different things there. Your sub, you can discuss this time as well. A lot of vehicles, like we had in the previous generation CX-5, went to subwoofers. They were inside the cabin of the vehicle, typically putting them in one of the back doors or two in the back doors as the previous CX-5 did. We have now actually come up with a different technology that puts the sub in the trunk, but instead of taking storage area, it's one connection piece that goes in between the spare. Allow me to have that sub and two full range speakers in the back, so your music isn't too bass heavy, and again, everybody gets the most ideal sound experience. So very important with the Bose. This is where you can talk about the commander control. It's one of our biggest selling points. As you'll notice, I am not reaching forward, I'm not reaching back. Once you adjust the customer's seats to the most ideal location, you'll find, and we're turning right here on Walsall Road, you'll find that it's ergonomically placed specifically to where that customer should be sitting. No more using these muscles and this energy that you normally would have to change your stereo. No more reaching forward, leaning your whole body forward, taking your eyes off and your hands off the steering wheel. You do have steering wheel controls, but no necessary need of using that. You can use voice command, both wirelessly from your phone or using this with our new CarPlay system. So you can use that if you want, but you don't need to. You have 5 physical buttons that are designed to work just like a mouse to a computer. This button here will always go back. That will always go to music, always go to home, always go to nav, and always go to your favorites. You get to the point where you're able to navigate your stereo without looking at it. Twisting or toggling. On most screens, they both will interact and engage the same way, unless you go to the settings screen where you specifically are using toggle to switch menus, and you're twisting to go between options in that menu. All right, so ease of use is a big thing. We're not the only manufacturer that has a tool like this, but we're the only ones that have designed it specifically for ease of use. You know, most of them are multi-layered systems where the controls and buttons do different things on different screens. Cool if you're sitting in front of a computer, you're messing with a tablet or smartphone. Not if you're driving a car. We need to focus on driving. Same reason why our screen is mounted high. Now we're turning right on Alpharetta Highway, which takes us right back to the dealership, making a right back on Elkins Road, which goes right back into the dealership. And note the differences. If they've been to Honda and test drove, they've been to Toyota, you point out that you know that Honda and Toyota are specifically going to put you on Highway 9, drive straight down the road, and you turn back, right? Our test drive specifically did not do those things. We went on specific roads to show you handling, braking, steering, acceleration, right? So note those things, because they experienced it, and pointing that out will help you, especially if you've driven on a rough road that the other manufacturers and dealers avoided. Point out why we're driving on it, point out the differences in what they're feeling, and then when you're on a smooth road, point that out so that they can compare it what they experienced with the other car that only drove on a smooth road. Hope this helped. Thank you very much.